May I continue? Thank you, sir. HTD 11, ACPN 11, ADC 17, ADP 27, APC 4,632, 4632, APDA 71, APGA 12,180, 12180, APP 23, PNPP 2, DA 6, DPC 6, GPN 5, HDP 5, ID 0, COA 1, LP 2525, MMN 3, and MPPP 4, NCP 6, NDLP 1, NAPP 1, NNPP 3, NPC 7, NUP 2, PDC 1313, PDP 2767, 2,767, PPA 109, PPN 3, PPP 4, PROP 0, SDP 3, UDP 24, UPP 2,847, 2847, YDP 8, YPP 4, total valid votes 22,880, 22880. Rejected votes 1,661, 661. Total votes cast 24,541, 24541. Please, Mr. Returning Officer, sir, Anambra, Idemili North also had a few hitches similar to what has been mentioned earlier. This include overvoting, lack of use of card reader, and this made us to cancel the votes from about 7 polling units, giving us a total of 4,162 cancelled votes. May I also inform that our group, Idemili North, was saddled with the conduct of the State House of Assembly, which was concluded accordingly. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Unarguably, Idemili North with the highest number of registered voters at 189,200 189,249. 189,249. And that is where the Minister of Labor and Productivity, Senator Chris Ngige, hails from. That local government in Demili North is actually from Alo, or they call it Alo, in Demili North. And it's looking like a clean sweep for the All Progressive Grand Alliance. A clean sweep from the local government that has been announced. And the election was keenly contested, but this result is actually attesting to what the governor, that is Willie Obiano, said in Ire yesterday, that he's going to win with a landslide. Even when the official results, immediately after he voted yesterday, Peter Obiano told journalists that he's going to win, and he's going to win convincingly with a landslide. Willie Obiano. And this is actually what we can refer to as a landslide victory. So a critical moment for the returning officer and the national commissioner here.
Returning officer, my name is Agufugo. I'd like to note that we gathered that in Mpo 1, the numbers there were cancelled because of mutilation and irreconciliation, but it was recorded here as being approved, and would like you to note that.
Noted.
For 1 precisely, yes. It was cancelled. It was cancelled. Check your...
Still on Demili North?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not. Not in Demili.
No, we're not. I thought we had.
Yes.
We had.
There's a problem he has to correct. UPP is not 5. He recorded 5 for UPP. But the actual number is 462. So I'm sure he made a mistake there. Is he corrected it? I said UPP is 462 and not 5, as you earlier mentioned. The ICT people should please correct their...
We have 462 here.
Yes, that's the correcting.
Okay.
But he mentioned 5.
Okay, noted.
Thank you.
Critical stakeholders to this exercise, because they have to sign the result sheets one by one, authenticating the or validating the process.
One 5662. Number of accredited voters 21880. 21880. The parties are as follows: AA 2, AGAP 50, ACD 10, 10, ACPN 11, ADC 25, ADP 23, APC 3616, APDA 107, ABGA 10845, APP 33, BNPP 2, DA 2, DPC 7, GNP, GPN 3, HDP 1, ID 1, KUA 0, LP 62, MMN 7, MPPP 3, NCP 3, NDLP 4, NEPP 2, NNPP 3, NPC 5, NUP 2, PDC 29, PDP 4157, PPA 56, PPN 3, PPP 1, PRP 2, SDP 2, SDP 2, UDP 20, UPP 462, 462, YDP 5, YPP 9. Total valid votes 19574. Sorry. Total valid vote 19575. Rejected votes 1359. This one. Total votes cast 20933. 934, sorry, I've signed it. 20934. We had little challenge in 3 polling units. In the first polling unit, or 3 wards, the first was that the SPO absconded with the result sheet, which resulted into or that triggered violence and police immediately stepped in, and then it was inconclusive. The second was malfunctioning of the smart card reader. And so because of it, they could not really, they wanted to use manual, or they used manual, and we could not accept it. And then the third one was also the issue of abscondment of result sheet by another SPO who was later arrested again by the police. PU, it was inconclusive.
Please, don't use that word. You cancelled it.
Okay, it was cancelled.
Are you through?
Yes.
Okay, you can proceed.
The agent signed.
Proceed to submit your results. Inching closer and closer to the end of this exercise. As a matter of fact, the collation has been done. It is there on the board for everybody to see. You already have the results. It is
That's the National Commissioner in charge. That's Professor Okechukwu Benu, and the Resident Electoral Commission of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Dr. Wakachukwu Oji, for this exercise.
I urge all of us to be very
They've
patient.
been the people driving this process.
We need to transfer all of this into the result sheets. Those are the official documents of what you already have.
This is the live transmission of Television Continental, reaching you from the Collation Center of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Anambra State Governorship election that held on the 18th of November. And just to inform you, if you're just joining us, that 21 local governments actually is out officially. The result has been read out officially, and this is the process that the INEC officials will put together the figures, reconcile
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to transfer the scores into our result sheets and the announcement sheets. But before I do that, it is very necessary that especially the party agents will confirm that this is not pre-prepared. It is fresh, clean, with nothing on it. So please, I would like you to step forward if you want to confirm the integrity of these result sheets. They are tamper-proof. Would you like to take a look? Okay.
Somebody What? Oh yeah. Go to that one. One more.
Once again, requests you to be patient. What we're about to do now will take some time. We are going to copy all that has been put on that board that you already know and have. into our result sheet and also into the summary result sheet, which is from ECED, and also into this form from ECAE, which is a declaration of results of this election. It's going to take some time. So the purpose of my addressing you now is to prepare your minds that this exercise will take a little while. So be patient, as you have always been, to allow us to do this. I will get back to you very soon. Thank you very much.
So let's give you some sense of what is happening right now. They're putting the figures together. It might take some minutes for that to happen, but let's get a sense of what this exercise has been so far in terms of the figures of it, of course, and what this portends for who wins this election eventually. I'm now being joined by Biodun Ajijola. He's a Executive Director of Election Monitor. He's an observer in this election. Thank you so much, Biodun, for joining us on Channels Television. So for the immediate figures that you have right now and a sense that we can put to these figures, what is your take generally on this election?
Well, from what I'm seeing, the voter turnout is not as bad as many people would have thought, because we have about 2.1 million registered voters, and we have over 400,000 total votes cast, or total. So at the end of the day, that simple calculation comes to about over 20%. And in 2013, we had 25% voter turnout. So I can't give you the exact figure, but I know it's about 20 in the early 20s%. So it's not much different from what we had in 2013.
In
2013 we had 25%. Pretty low, even in 2015. And then now it's just over 20% as well. So it's almost the same. It's a very, very close. And that's remarkable when you consider the fact that in 2013, we did not have issues of no election, and there was no campaign to prevent people from going to vote. So in this election, we have had a campaign to say, look, don't vote, people should stay at home. There was that agitation. And if with all of that, we still have over 20% voter turnout, then I think that tells you that if there was no agitation and there was no, people saying don't go out to vote, probably would be looking at over 30% of voter turnout. So for me, I think it still shows you that the people of Anambra State are interested in the electoral process and really wanted to come out and make their voices heard.
Are you surprised with the figures that you are seeing, especially what so much like a landslide? We cannot tell for now. We still wait for the authorities, the official returning officer to give us the official figures. But what you have seen so far today with what the candidates got in the election, are you surprised with these figures?
Well, I won't say I'm 100% surprised, because there are certain things about politics in Nigeria, and you have to look at the history. So one of the things we've always had strong candidates. And it usually happens in the history of our politics, and this isn't about this election, it's about what you observe. If you observe most of the governorship elections 2015, then you find out in such a case gives favor to the incumbents, because as you know, incumbency in itself has great powers in itself.
This race and what they got. What can you make of this race generally?
Yeah, basically what you can see once. But because in the states you have another party which is at the incumbency that runs the state, so that also brings in the third dimension, and the results have shown very clearly. Domiciled basically within 3 political parties. So you can see that over 95% of the total votes cast are basically within. You know, the two leading parties in the country will always pull their weight in any election. And because of the fact that the state is governed by another party, definitely there's going to be that party also pulling its own weight. So for me, I would expect that these 3 parties will come out with majority of the votes, and I think that is the trend.
Perhaps the one that has stood out the most, considering
one from the South Central District. If it was something of that nature, what we would have seen in that case is that probably those candidates will hold their local governments, and then you would have maybe 2 local governments or 3 local governments won by some people like that. But
the last time we saw a governorship candidate win in this margin is perhaps in Ekiti State, the last governorship election about 3.5 years ago in Ekiti State, where you have one person who wins all of the local government areas in Nigeria's governorship election. This is perhaps another one that is emerging like that in that format. What do you think is responsible for this kind of pattern of voting or pattern of election?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of issues, and I think part of it is political issues. So, for example, you look at the state, all right, and you realize that one of the parties is a party that is identified with the state and is seen as the only party remaining in the geopolitical zone. And many people identify that party with the region. So I think naturally there will be some desire by voters and stakeholders to ensure that that party is able to...
That's a major...
I think that's one of the reasons. But another big reason is the fact that power shift, right? So we've had Central as governor, you know, that Peter Obi was Central, as Agulu Anocha, that's Anambra Central. Ingige comes from Idemili South, that's Anambra Central. So this is the first time that we had Anambra East, which is Willie Obiano for 4 years. So I think there's the general belief that the North Senatorial District should have a second term, and then the power should shift to the south. So I think some people who are agitating for power to shift to the South Senatorial District, were convinced that they should hold on, allow the North to finish 8 years, and then move over to the South, so the South can look at 8 years. I think that convinced a lot of people in the South Senatorial District to vote for, to support the power remaining in the North. So I think that also played a major role in the way the political dynamics were happening, which resulted in some shifting of alignments. And of course, as you know, some of the big parties some of the big parties had issues after their primaries, and that created fractions. So in the case one candidate is going to court, some other people will not say they're going to court, but maybe at that point will change their loyalties, to work against their own party because they were disgruntled as a result of how the primaries occurred. Now, this happened in some of the leading parties. When you consider this, it will also work to consolidate the power in a particular direction. So that's another very serious reason why we would have, less support for some people and more support in another direction.
Let's talk about this conduct for a moment. For our viewers who are watching, wherever you may be watching, you perhaps are wondering what exactly is happening. This is, we are approaching the moment, well, some people will say the judgment moment, where you will know who wins in the Anambra governorship election 2017. This is the opportunity for the people of the state to determine who is going to be their governor for another 4-year term. So if you see behind me here, party agents who are from the 37 political parties who run in this race, and the results are already in from all the 21 local government areas. And to my left, you see journalists who are already with the cameras from every network that you may think of in Nigeria. They're ready with the cameras, ready to capture those last few moments when the winner will be declared. The declaration usually comes in a manner as this, that the winner in this race with a total number of so and so is being declared and returned. So in that sense, has been re-elected. So this is perhaps the kind of language that you will hear from the returning officer, Professor Zana Akpagu, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Calabar, who is presiding over the proceedings here today. And so what again you will see are people seated on this part of the room are those who had worked at some moment as officials in this election. And you've heard from those who are returning the results, coalition officers and electoral officers who have been brought to put these figures together. It has not been a very easy one. It's been a tough journey, but so far, all said, and perhaps it's going to be done down to the last minute. I've been talking with an observer in this election. He's the executive director of Election Monitor. Let's take a look at Mr. Biodun Ajijola. Let's take a look at the conduct generally. How would you rate INEC in this election of today? Considering their last outing and this very one, what would you say they stand, where would you say they stand right now?
Well, I have to be sincere with you. There are quite a lot of differences between this governorship election and the last one held in Ondo State in 2016 November. I mean, one of the differences is logistics. So, for example, in Ondo State, over 90% of polling units open by 8 o'clock. But what we have here is that we have a number of polling units that did not open on time. There were logistics issues of core members being able to get to their PU. There were issues of, leaving their rack centers on time. So we had some areas that even, I know that we had observers and we had some places where we got reports as late as 10 o'clock, 10:02 a.m., before accreditation voting started. So this didn't really happen much in Ondo. So that's one of the big issues. Another issue is the issues with the card reader. I mean, you've been hearing the feedback from all the local government coalition officers. Almost every local government has a problem with card reader. And in almost every case, you hear that they reverted to manual accreditation. I mean, we're hearing this live. So, this is something that we hardly heard about in Ondo. And it's basically something that it's basically it's an administrative issue. So that's another big issue. Yeah.
Mr. Biodun Ajijola, I must thank you so much for your time on Channel Television. We're waiting for the results and the final result. The man there, and all eyes on him, Professor Zana Akpagu. We're waiting for him to declare the winner in this race. And when the figures have been put, they have been imputed manually, one after the other. And so when that is done, they will announce the winner. But for a moment, we take a moment on Channel Television, but we'll be back to give you the final moment in the announcement of the winner in the Anambra Governorship election 2017.
You've been watching our coverage of the Anambra governorship election. Our studios have been live since yesterday when the elections took place in Anambra. Much for the better part of today, the results have been collated, they've been counted, and as they've been received by the returning officer, they've been announced. So we're just awaiting the final announcement of the results. If you've been with us all day, you'll see, you must have noticed on the scroll bar the result.
Thank you very much.
How do you assess today's election?
Well, very wonderful day for democracy in Nigeria. Yesterday, the Independent National Electoral Commission conducted its best ever election, I can reckon, with. The election was so peaceful, and the security agencies were there to do the work without harassing anybody. There was peace everywhere in the states. I know that it became possible because of the disposition of the president, Muhammad Buhari, who ensured that this election went without any manipulation. And yesterday, despite the anxiety that this election may be rigged, INEC shocked the people of Anambra State with the best election they have ever conducted. And yesterday, with the way things went very well, people did not believe that the results garnered yesterday will be the result that will be declared today. So during the night, overnight, there was palpable tension that the result will be changed. And today, all the things we got from the local government collection centers last night into this morning were the actual results declared here. Very transparently, nothing changed, And this is what we wish for the country. An electoral process where the people will decide who becomes their leader, using their votes. If we get it right this way continuously, then I will tell you that this country will start having leaders that will serve them. If you see the way people are reacting when these results were being collected and live, people could not believe that this thing is happening in Nigeria, but it has just happened. So it's a great day for democracy in this country.
Does it mean that our politicians have changed for positive?
Well, I've always maintained, because I was national chairman of ABGA for 10 years, I've always maintained that if the Independent National Electoral Commission decides to conduct credible election, politicians have nothing to do. The commission will be in charge of the process, and the only way they can be in charge of the process is by shunning the invitation of politicians for one kind of patronage or the other. And this played out in this election. It was obvious that the whole ad hoc staff that took part in this election were selected by the commission. They didn't take list of ad hoc staff from politicians. In the past, politicians had submitted a list of ad hoc staff to the commission, and with them they rigged the elections. This one, INEC selected the ad hoc staff completely, and all the collation officers, nobody knew where they were coming from until they arrived Friday night, or even some of them arrived yesterday from Calabar. So you could see that they are untainted, all of them, starting from the returning officer, the vice chancellor, the local government collation officers, professors, doctors, and very credible quality Nigerians. And at the local government collation levels, doctors and eminent people in the university community. All the ward collation officers also came from Calabar. So the politicians in Anambra State had no contact with them, and they came in and did their job. Look at the results. It's a huge thing that has happened to this country, what they have delivered. And if they keep it this way, it will be continuous. So INEC should use this model to conduct all subsequent elections and rid our political process of fraud and misguided elements that ambush the electoral process and bring shame to Nigeria. Nigeria will celebrate this because international observers are all over here. The National Democratic Institute had a contingent of 250 observers deployed at polling units. So there's nothing that would have happened here that will go uncriticized by the international community. But I'm happy that the international community, both the European Union, they will go away from Anambra State with thumbs up for Nigeria, that we can actually conduct good elections. And that's what INEC has demonstrated today.
This is the first time.
Very secure right now, and making progress in all spheres. So I was pretty sure that our people cannot gamble in this election, trying to bring somebody they don't know what the person is coming to do. The law of nature is that first of all you keep something that you treasure, something that is good. Good governance is very rare in Nigeria, and any place you see it, the citizens will grab it. They won't let it go, and that's what Anambra people have done. So the governor has done very well, and our party is of course a party of choice for our people.
What are we going to expect in the next 4 years?
Greater Anambra State. The governor is already, he has launched his airport scheme. He's building an airport in Omweri, with ancillary development that will bring all kinds of things, employment and the rest. And he promises he will deliver that airport in 3 years. And the good thing about it is that Anambra State is not putting $1 in it, not even a cent. He used his ingenuity as an investment banker, a chartered accountant of international repute, to attract credible investors from China. He packaged the scheme, and are coming to do it with Anambra State not putting a cent, yet to have 12% equity in the investment. So in the next 4 years, it will be amazing, because the foundation he has laid in 3 years and 7 months, building on top of it for the next 4 years, this state will be wonderful. So we expect that he will strengthen his achievements in all the sectors, and at the same time bring in more innovations to governance. So that's what we expect from him.
What will be your final word to other political parties that contested the election with your party?
Well, as I know, I sat with some of the party agents, and they've not seen anything wrong with the election. So I believe they will, in good conscience, accept its outcome, and then congratulate the governor, and also congratulate ABGA. We begin to have electoral contests where the losers contest the winners in a transparent, credible process like the one we witnessed here yesterday and this morning. There will be no reason for anybody going to court to challenge an obvious result of an election. So I believe that they're happy with the outcome. Nobody is kicking that something wrong has happened. And this is a very strong, very strong showing by the party and our candidates in this election. Well, by the time they bring out the totals, you see that the lead is so wide. So there's nothing to grumble about. That maybe if this place is cancelled, you will recover. If this is added to you, you will win. So it's a hands-down beating that the party and the candidate have given to our opponents. So I congratulate them, though, for those of them that worked hard. There are some that worked very hard. There were some that campaigned on credible issues. There were people who were here on a bitter mission of vengeance, trying to deceive the people. I know that Anambra people are not idiots, but there were people who campaigned with bitterness, spreading lies and all kinds of things there to deceive the electorate. But you can see how they reacted to those lies. So I don't know what those people will be doing now.
For the people of Anambra State.
Well, I congratulate them. The victory is for them. They've been given opportunity to elect their governor for a second term in office. So it's a huge privilege to them, because this type of thing has never come our way very easily. So I congratulate them, and I thank them for making a wise choice, rising above pedestrian and mundane politics to elect a visionary leader to continue in office. One thing I know about our people is that they appreciate anything good. We don't celebrate failures. For the fact that Obiano has garnered all kinds of awards in Nigeria for good performance as a governor, our people will never put him down. They agree with what he has done, because all the things he did in 3 years and 7 months are all over the place for our people to see. So, and I've paid him back with a renewal of this mandate to continue in office for another 4 years. I assured them that he will not let them down. And I've been driving around with him during campaigns, and I could see his work attitude. People don't really know the man Obiano. He's somebody who responds to challenges as soon as he becomes aware of them. He solves problems as soon as he becomes aware of those problems. So he's somebody that holds a lot of promise for our people for the next 4 years. So I congratulate Anambra people. And it's good. Thank you.
Thank you.